Sunday, 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 and Monday, and every day. Get ready for the most thrilling, soul-crushing, time-bending travel experience on the East Coast. JFK International Airport, where the weather's perfect, the skies are clear, and you're still delayed. Delay so long you'll question your life choices. Taxi times longer than your flight.
Folks, we are number 27 in line for takeoff.
Experience the misery. Feel the frustration. Witness the chaos. JFK Airport. Delays aren't a possibility, they're a promise. Get your tickets now on your favorite airline.
Have you ever been randomly scrolling around to different airports on Flight Radar or FlightAware? This is something that I do all the time, and more often than not, I end up zooming in on JFK Airport because I notice that it's nothing short of a mess. Delays seem to pile up all day, every day, no matter the timing, day of week, season, or weather. It's just consistently horrible. So why? Why is the main international gateway of the biggest city in the United States not a well-oiled machine like Atlanta or LAX? Well, let's dive in to find out. To understand why JFK is such a logistical nightmare today, we have to rewind back to when it all started, back before the airport was even called JFK. The airport originally opened in 1948 as Idlewild Airport. It was meant to relieve congestion at LaGuardia, which was already overwhelmed just a few years after opening. And in fairness, Idlewild had ambition. This was going to be the international gateway to the United States, a modern airport that could handle the jet age. But here's where the first cracks in the foundation appeared. Instead of being built with a single unified design or master plan, the airport gave individual airlines the freedom to build their own terminals, however they wanted. That's why JFK felt like 7 or 8 different airports awkwardly mashed together, because, well, that's exactly what it was. In 1963, the airport was renamed to honor President John F. Kennedy shortly after his assassination. But while the name changed, the disjointed layout didn't. And over time, as air travel exploded and airlines merged, JFK's scattered architecture and poor planning became more and more of a problem. But not all of JFK's early terminal designs were disasters. In fact, one of them was downright revolutionary. In 1962, TWA opened its brand new flight center, a swooping, futuristic terminal designed by the legendary Eero Saarinen. If that name sounds familiar, it's because he also designed Dulles Airport in Washington, D.C., and if you're interested in that story, I've got a whole video on it you can check out after this one. But back to TWA. This terminal wasn't just a building, it was a statement. Curved walls, soaring concrete shells, massive windows, everything about it was meant to evoke the romance and possibility of air travel in the jet age. It was intuitive, it was elegant, and it was way ahead of its time. But unfortunately, it was also a one-off. While TWA built this architectural masterpiece, the rest of JFK's terminals were being thrown together in totally different styles, often based on the taste of budgets and each airline. You had Pan Am's Worldport with its overhang roof, the circular American Airlines terminal, and others that looked, let's be honest, like high schools or shopping malls from the 60s. Each of these terminals was designed to function independently because airlines back then weren't thinking about code-sharing alliances or seamless passenger transfers. It was just every brand for itself. And that short-sighted approach, it's haunted JFK ever since. Over time, as airlines merged, collapsed, or changed strategies, many of these original terminals outlived their purpose and most of them met a pretty unceremonious end. Let's start with one of the most controversial losses, the Pan Am Worldport. This terminal, with its distinctive flying saucer roof and cantilever design, was once considered cutting edge, but by the early 2000s, it was outdated and inefficient. After Pan Am folded and Delta took over, the building slowly fell into disrepair. Aviation enthusiasts fought to save it, calling it a symbol of mid-century optimism. But in 2013, Delta tore it down just to make room for more ramp space. No memorial, no tribute, just gone. The American Airlines terminal? Demolished in 2008 to make way for the current Terminal 8 expansion. That building, like many others, had outlived its usefulness in the hub-and-spoke post-deregulation world. Even the United Airlines terminal, known as Terminal 9, was demolished in the early 2000s. Its footprint now forms part of the expanded Terminal 8 as well. And as for the TWA Flight Center, well, that's the rare bright spot. After sitting dormant for years, it was finally transformed into the TWA Hotel, which opened in 2019. It's no longer a functioning terminal, but at least it's preserved, and it's honestly one of the coolest things at the airport today, even if you're not staying there. So here's the big takeaway. JFK had a chance to become a design icon. It had the architectural pedigree, the global traffic, and the real estate to build something timeless. But instead of evolving in a cohesive master plan way, it just kept tearing things down and patching new pieces in. And that brings us to the present-day terminals, a confusing mix of old, new, overcrowded, and half-renovated buildings that are, frankly, hard to navigate and frustrating to transfer between. Let's start with Terminal 1. Terminal 1 is JFK's international hub for SkyTeam and Star Alliance carriers. It hosts airlines like Air France, Lufthansa, Korean Air, Turkish Airlines, Austrian, Saudia, and others. This terminal is under deep redevelopment with a massive new Terminal 1 project underway, slated for phased opening beginning mid-2026, ultimately wrapping around the old T1, T2, and T3 sites by 2030. Despite the upgrade, this international mix makes it complex to navigate and hard to transfer from. Terminal 2. Until recently, Terminal 2 had served Delta and its domestic affiliates exclusively, but it's now been demolished and absorbed into the reconstruction zone for the new Terminal 1 Terminal 2 complex, a key reason JFK's layout continues to feel disjointed. Terminal 4. Terminal 4 is the largest and most operationally complex terminal at JFK and essentially serves as Delta's international hub. It handles a vast roster of airlines including Delta, KLM, Virgin Atlantic, Aeromexico, Avianca, Emirates, Etihad, Singapore, and many more. Following a $1.5 billion expansion, Delta consolidated operations from T2 and T3 into T4, making it the default hub for most SkyTeam partners at JFK. Despite its sheer size and upgrade, passenger congestion and unclear interterminal signage remain persistent issues. Terminal 5. Terminal 5 is the home base for JetBlue, the second largest carrier at JFK with roughly 25% market share. Also servicing Cape Air and Sun Country, it incorporates the landmark TWA Flight Center, now adopted into the TWA Hotel. The layout is relatively fresh and more passenger-friendly, but its isolation from the rest of the terminal complex means transfers are often inefficient and confusing. Terminal 7. Built in the 1970s, historically it hosted British Airways among others, but is now a shrinking relic after BA moved to Terminal 8 in late 2022. Remaining airlines include a hodgepodge like Aer Lingus, ANA, Iceland Air, Air Canada, Norse, and others, mostly from multiple alliances. Terminal 7 is slated for demolition and replacement by the new Terminal 6, yet no direct airside connection exists, increasing transfer friction across terminals. Terminal 8. Terminal 8 is American Airlines' main base at JFK, home to AA's long-haul transatlantic and trans-Pacific routes, as well as oneworld partners like British Airways, Iberia, Japan Airlines, Qantas, Qatar, and recently Hawaiian and Alaska Airlines. After a major $400 million renovation completed in 2022, BA and Iberia relocated here to consolidate oneworld operations next to American. Still, many users call it uncomfortable and poorly laid out, especially for non-lounge passengers. Now, you might think with all those terminals, JFK must have a slick system for connecting passengers. After all, it's one of the busiest international airports in the country, right? Yeah, not even close. Now, let's talk about what might be JFK's most frustrating flaw, the transfer experience. Put yourself in hypothetical shoes. Let's say you fly Delta from Atlanta to JFK. Delta uses Terminal 4. Now imagine you're connecting to an international flight with one of Delta's major SkyTeam partners, Air France. Logical, right? Well, Air France uses Terminal 1, which means you land in Terminal 4, you leave security, you hop on the air train, ride it over to Terminal 1, and then, you guessed it, you go through security all over again. That's a lot of extra steps and stress, all during what's supposed to be a smooth layover. and this isn't just a Delta problem. The way JFK's terminals are spread out means that most passengers connecting between airlines, or even sometimes within alliances, have to exit and re-clear security. There's no unified post-security connection system like you'll find at airports in Atlanta, Denver, or even Houston. So, does all of this actually impact performance? Oh yeah, big time. Let's look at the numbers. Roughly 29% of JFK's delays are caused by airline-related issues, things like slow baggage transfers, crew delays, or late arriving connecting passengers. Add in another 31% for system delays like gate availability or traffic flow, and that means 60% of all delays at JFK are tied directly to how the airport is run. Not weather, not mechanical problems, just poor logistics. In early 2025, JFK ranked as the fourth worst major airport in the US for delays and cancellations. Over a quarter of all flights were delayed or canceled, and when flights were delayed, the average wait was over an hour. And it's not just delays, it's missed connections too. According to FAA data, JFK saw a 47% increase in missed connections in late 2024, which led Delta and American to cancel nearly 300 flights weekly in an attempt to ease the chaos. Even when your flight does leave the gate on time, you're not out of the woods. JFK ranks near the top for apron delays, with nearly 3.5% of flights sitting on the ramp for over an hour before takeoff. So yeah, this stuff adds up. When your airport layout forces passengers to hop on a train and go through TSA again just to make a connection, it doesn't just make people angry, it causes real, measurable operational problems. And all of this sets us up for the next big issue: congestion. Because JFK isn't just a mess on the inside, it's a total bottleneck on the outside too. Let's talk about those runways. I can't tell you how many times I've looked at JFK on flight radar and noticed departures literally wrapped around the entire airfield. Planes just sitting in long conga lines waiting for clearance. And no, it's not just bad luck or poor weather, it's baked into the airport's very structure. JFK has 4 runways, more than enough in theory, but in practice, they're not always available due to wind conditions, ongoing construction, and the layout of the airport. Often, only 2 runways are actively used for departures during peak hours. That means even on a sunny Tuesday in July, JFK becomes a parking lot of jets with nowhere to go. One pilot on Reddit described it like this: Runway 4 and 22 on the parallel taxi were completely lined with departures. ATC just told a plane joining the queue, "You're number 30 or 35 for departure," somewhere around there. These aren't rare occurrences. In fact, JFK consistently ranks as one of the worst airports in the country for on-time performance. According to LendingTree, nearly 3.5% of JFK's flights are delayed on the tarmac for over an hour. That's among the worst in the US. The average taxi out time? A whopping 24 minutes, and often much longer in the evenings when the lines stack up. And this isn't just an inconvenience, it affects the entire airspace. Roughly 75% of all national air traffic delays can be traced back to the congestion in the New York City area, and JFK is at the center of it all. Even when the weather is perfect, the airport's layout and lack of coordinated ground management can create a domino effect that ripples across the entire country. To make things worse, JFK has tried to fix this in the past with mixed results. After a major runway renovation in 2010, delays actually got worse for a period of time due to poor planning and scheduling overload. New programs like virtual queuing using ASDEX data help a little, but JFK's capacity saturates quickly once more than about 15 departures are trying to taxi at once. All of this leads to a simple, frustrating conclusion: JFK's runway operations are fundamentally broken. While Atlanta and DFW move traffic with the precision of a Formula One pit stop, JFK feels more like rush hour on the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway. So yeah, maybe you got through security, navigated the terminal transfer, and made your gate on time, only to sit in a line of 40 planes, engines humming, while your flight time just slips further and further away. Now you might be thinking, okay, JFK is a mess, but aren't they fixing all of this? Yes, kind of. JFK is currently undergoing a multi-billion-dollar redevelopment plan, arguably the most ambitious in the airport's history. The goal? To modernize and streamline the terminal layout, improve passenger experience, and hopefully fix some of the long-standing inefficiencies that have plagued the airport for decades. The centerpiece is the new Terminal 1, a massive $9.5 billion project that will combine the aging Terminals 1, 2, and 3 into a single, state-of-the-art international terminal. It's expected to have 23 gates and top-tier amenities that rival what you'd find in Asia or Europe. On the other side of the field, JetBlue is leading the charge with an expanded Terminal 6, which will connect seamlessly to Terminal 5, a much-needed change for JetBlue and its international partners. All of it sounds great on paper, but here's the problem. New terminals alone don't solve runway bottlenecks, airspace congestion, or bad transfer logistics. Even the Port Authority's own planning documents acknowledge that JFK's layout, especially its limited taxiways and intersecting runways, will still present operational challenges no matter how nice the terminals look inside. And let's be honest, we've heard this story before. Terminals 5 and 8 were both built with fanfare and promises for smoother operations, and yet the same systemic issues persist today. Delays, disjointed airline placement, and inefficient gate use. Until JFK tackles those deeper issues, all of this shiny construction may just be lipstick on a very loud and delayed pig. So, is there hope for JFK? Actually, yeah. For all its flaws, the fact that billions are being invested into the airport shows that people do care. New terminals, smarter technology, and better infrastructure could finally turn JFK into something more than just a global punchline for travel delays. It'll take time and probably a lot of patience, but maybe, just maybe, we'll see a day when JFK runs like a well-oiled machine. If you've made it this far into the video, I'd love to hear your JFK stories down in the comments, the good, the bad, and the delayed. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel. I'm getting really close to 10,000 subscribers, and every single one of you helps me get there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.